So Hollywood creators of adaptations don't really care about the source material? Well, thank you, Captain Obvious. Wes, hi everybody, and welcome to yet another video. Well, that is something that has been obvious for a long time, hasn't it, my dear friends? That is something that everybody knows, although many people are refusing to admit it. I'm of course talking about the fact that people in Hollywood who are making adaptations of one source material or another don't really care for the source material. It is only a job for them. In this case, we are really talking about, please do look at the screen, Thor Ragnarok, because it was of course directed by Taika Waititi, and he says, according to Bounding Into Comics, that Taika Waititi admits he only did Thor Ragnarok for the paycheck. Says Golden Avengers run during his childhood was the comic I'd pick up and be like, ugh. Right then, so I would like to say something about this before we get into the article to save you time, my dear friends. Oh, how nice I am. So it is quite obvious that whenever somebody is passionate about creativity, about creation, about bringing something to life, be it audiovisual medium, be it films and TV shows, literature, whatever, video games, and most cases, it's not 100% of cases, but most of the cases, they want to create something of their own. They want to bring into and breathe into that product something from their life, something of their own soul, shall we say, quote unquote, whether you believe in something like that or not. And so that is why the best of the best of the best of the best films and TV shows are in fact original ideas, are in fact original scripts. There are exceptions, quite obviously, like The Lord of the Rings by Peter Jackson. It was made by people who have always been extremely in love, passionately, with the source material, and they wanted to honor it. And they wanted to make as best product as possible. But this is a rare case in the entertainment industry. A very rare case. And that is why The Lord of the Rings has been such a success. That is why The Lord of the Rings trilogy is such a great piece of art. Whether you like some changes in that movie or not. If you look at most other franchises that have acclaimed worldwide success, like The Terminator, Alien, Predator, like Star Wars, and so on and so forth. I mean, Back to the Future and the Ghostbusters, and we could be naming things for hours. They always started as original ideas, of course, obviously being inspired and influenced by many things that came before them. Many authors and directors and creators were obviously inspired by external sources as well as their own experiences in their lives. And so that is why, as far as adaptations go, the creators are not putting as much passion, as much of their love into it, because it is not their property, it is not theirs, it doesn't belong to them, it's not their child. And we have seen that more and more lately. If they are doing something with licensed properties or with things that do not belong to them, they are trying to put into the final product as much of themselves, of their beliefs, of their agendas, of their social political opinions into that work of art. More of in the comic books themselves, the printed ones, than the audio-visual medium, although lately in Marvel, I don't know, it's very comparable. As far as Marvel goes, the putting yourself, putting your own agendas, putting your own social political beliefs in the final product has been really on par with the comic books. The movies, of course. And so this is why it should not be surprising that Taika Waititi accepted the making of Thor Ragnarok just for the paycheck, because it's a lot of money for him, a lot of money for his family. I mean, we all do jobs to make money, and it is his job. So, I mean, if you look at some of his other works that he did from his heart, you can see that, of course. But let us just quickly summarize what the Bounding into Comics article says and what Taika Waititi really said in detail. So they say that, to the surprise of absolutely no one, now former Thor series director Taika Waititi has admitted that the only reason he ever agreed to work on the God of Thunder's film series was not out of a love or interest in the character, but rather because the job simply allowed him an opportunity to collect a paycheck. The Thor Ragnarok and Thor Love and Thunder director offered this insight into his time in the Marvel Cinematic Universe while speaking to actors Jason Bateman, Sean Hayes, and Will Arnett for the November the 27th episode of their Smartless Talk Show podcast. Following an opening discussion surrounding his latest film Next Goal Wins, Waititi was eventually pressed by Bateman for insight as to why he, with all of his eccentricities, ever agreed to do Thor Ragnarok. Opining that Marvel is so incredible at doing their thing, they have got a product that is just incredible. It's made this industry twice as healthy as it's ever been. A comment to which Arnold later joked, "To watch you suck Marvel's dick for so long was a real treat." Bateman then asserted, "But I think one should, as does, needs to adhere to certain parameters because that audience expects certain boxes to be checked." Before asking Waititi, "What made you think that your incredibly unique perspective on things would be a fit for something that you would probably agree needs to stay inside certain boundaries?" In turn, Waititi admitted, "You know what? I had no interest in doing one of those films. It wasn't on my plan for my career as an auteur. But I was poor, and I just had a second child, and I thought, you know what? This would be a great opportunity to feed these children." 100% understandable, in my opinion. And then the article continues, "And then I did some research on it, and I read one Thor comic, or 18 pages, or however long they are. I was still baffled by this character," he added. "I thought that if there was anything I could bring, it was character. Just like looking at Thor as a character, he's a billionaire who lives in space, and he looks ridiculous, and that was sort of the end of that. So I was like, let's highlight that. He's a rich kid. I pitched him that he hates germ." Then he was asked by Bateman. That didn't scare the shit out of Marvel. Waititi asserted in turn, "I think there was no place left for them. Go with that thing. I thought, well, if they've called me in, this is really the bottom of the barrel for them." And then Bounding into Comics, they go into when Taika Waititi was born and what he could have read. When he was little, as far as Thor goes. And I mean, these are nice speculations, but I am European law, so instead of that, I will recommend something. Thor by Walter Simonson. The best run of Marvel Comics Thor ever created by a man. Walter Simonson, extremely and extraordinarily talented and skilled and prolific author, both in writing and drawing in the comic book industry, among which, of course, we could count his Thor run, which he drew and which he wrote and illustrated. And it is no coincidence that if you watch some interviews with him, he is talking about the fact that as a kid, at his home there was a bookshelf, and in that bookshelf was a lot of books on Norse mythology and legends. So there you go, and that is why I think he achieved to create the best Thor run ever made. Because yes, it is a modern adaptation of the old Norse myths being brought into the 20th century by Marvel Comics. They made the Asgardians into some sort of, quote-unquote alien civilization that is so superior to humans that humans consider them to be gods. But it's still the Thor series by Walter Simonson. It contains very many aspects and nods to the Norse myths and legends that we know from the Icelandic Eddas and other texts. And they are quite faithful to those myths. And so that is why it is an extraordinary read for both normies, just comic book fans, or fans of Norse mythology, or all of them combined. And so let me know in the comments down below what you think about all this. What you think about originality versus adaptations. What do you think about putting oneself into the final product? Do you think it's better to create original things? It is! or adapting things. And what do you think about Taika Waititi in general? And that will be all. Thank you very much for watching, and I'm out of here.